All right, and we go. All right, we're going to start off by saying, well, I'll start everything off in the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord. And Amen we trust, and Amen we thank, and Amen we continue forward forever. I'm just going to start off on this light topic tonight. Make sure everybody sees me. It's clear with this. A logical reason why we shouldn't refer to ourselves as Black or African American any longer. For the first time, I spoke on this plenty of times. You might have heard me speak on this on American Republic Radio, which is a broadcast I do right along with MENTELLECT Radio, which I'm going to be doing tonight at 10:30. I wanted to take the time out to, address this and speak on this. I'm just getting used to the camera and everything again, so bear with me. It's been a minute since I did this. There's a lot more technical things involved now. I usually let my little team handle things, my wives. Of course, I let them take care of this. Am I coming in clear? Okay. First off, let me say this. Those of you who know me, this will be a 100% broadcast based on logical and rational thinking. That's all I do. That's how I give intel, how I share my thoughts on things, how I share extended thinking on things. This is how I do. Given these things, given these thoughts and ideas to appeal to the logic and rationale of the listener. If you are not a thinker, then this channel is not for you. My broadcast is not for you. We're going to pick up a lot of subscribers along the way, but I am going to watch my mouth somewhat because this is still YouTube, and on YouTube, you can't say what you want to say. So I have to find ways to say things in a more coded way, in a more, extended way, where you all get just as much out of the message, more out of the message than if I was extra raw and uncut. It's going to still be raw and uncut, but, with a little bit of boundaries. We're going to have a little bit of boundaries because I want this message of MENTELLECT, because the message is always going to be MENTELLECT, right? And the reality of who we are as the only true Americans in this society has to come out, okay? I'm going to be attacking the thing Black, the terminology Black that our people are still wearing in 2022, the term that we're still identifying with. I'm going to attack it by way of logic and rational thinking. If we don't move by logic and rational thinking going forward, we're not going to advance or evolve as a people, grow as a people, extend ourselves as a people. I'm talking about people who are currently referring to themselves as Black people. Now, I know that these talks, these high and mighty talks, are going to be lost on a lot of people who are emotionally attached to the word Black and African American. If you are emotionally attached to the word Black and African American, then maybe you might not want to listen to what I got to say. However, for the intelligent, the logical thinker, the rational thinker, because that's all we have ever dealt with in MENTELLECT, we address these things from a logical and rational perspective, because through logic and through logical and rational thinking, that is how we excel and ascend and extend ourselves in our everyday life. We do not, and I say so-called Black people, do not utilize logical and rational thinking, especially when it comes to things that are important to us, things that are connected to us, things that have, special connection to us as a people. So, Black. I had somebody sit on the Facebook and, I made a post and I talked about in depth our true origin here in America, which is not African, but American. I spoke about our true origins here, our true heritage, our true culture, where we really come from in the Americas. And I've always said that it was American. Like many of you, I believe that one time our people, got here as a result of the African or the transatlantic slave trade, right? Where they claim they hauled our people across the Atlantic Ocean from, different parts of Africa, supposedly West Africa. Yet, not until really the Alex Haley story and the whole Roots debacle, which has been proven to be a false story, and I pointed out in one of my broadcasts was a major tool of programming to keep our people in a lost mindset, lying to our people, saying that we came from Africa when we were actually the first natives of this land. You have people who are caught up on this black thing, on this African American thing, trying to debunk the truth, the reality, the logic of our true origins here in America. You actually have people sitting up here talking about we're not native to America. You got black people, and I'm using that term, for a reason. Because when I say black people making ignorant statements like that we're not native to America, but that we're native to Africa, which are usually your Pan-Africanists, I got to ask them, why haven't they left America? Why are they preaching Pan-Africanism in America? If you are truly so-called Pan-Africanist, why are you not in Africa promoting your message? Why are you not talking about the diaspora, or whatever you refer to it as? Why are you not speaking about that in Africa? Why are you not leading the way for other so-called, quote-unquote, African Americans to join you in Africa? Why isn't your African brothers and sisters welcoming you in Africa? Answer, the real answer, because they know, and now we had to find out the hard way, that we are not African. That we are not African, and that we are ultimately, really native to America through our Mesoamerican ancestry. Through our Mesoamerican ancestry, we are native to America. Through the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, the people who came from South America, Central America, Yucatan, the people who built the first civilizations, pyramid civilizations, and things all over the South, and made their way first into, and then eventually made their way into North America, where they set up the mound cities here in Georgia, Mississippi, Illinois. You have different mound cities that were set up by our people over 11, which they just found one in Georgia 1,100 years ago. The Mayans, which were so-called black people. People who were there. The descendants of those people are falsely being referred to as black today, or African American today. All right. Realistically, is our skin black? Is our skin black? Do we have black skin? For the first time listeners here, I ask you, do we have black skin? Because I had somebody tell me that we were black, brownish black. I never heard of nothing crazy like that. I heard somebody say, oh, we were brownish black. Okay? And that made no sense to me. People referring to us, there's no such thing as brownish black. All right? There's no such thing as brownish black. We sound ignorant today still calling ourselves black people. We sound very ignorant. Our skin is not black. Okay? Thus, I was trying to open up this thing because I wanted to use this as a prop. You know. Can you open this for me? I wanted to use this as a prop. I hate to have to do this because we're not in kindergarten, and I hate to have to play shades and colors with adults who are watching this cast. I hate to have to do that. This is black. This is black. My skin doesn't look like this. Nobody's skin, to what I know, looks like this. If I see somebody's skin who looks like that, I'm going the other way. Okay? As far as I've been in my life, I've never seen anybody that looks like this. Nobody has black skin. There's no such thing as black-skinned people. You know, you have people out here who are still promoting this foolishness to our people. Okay? There's a agenda behind lying to our people, trying to psychologically convince our people that we are black people. There is no such thing as black people. There is no such thing as black-skinned people. You see the shades in my glasses and you see this. My skin does not look like this. Nobody's skin looks like this. All right? You see the shirt I'm wearing. And we've been moving out these shirts. And on these shirts, if you can see it, is the description of the first Americans. This is from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, 1828 definition, which we had put on shirts because I wanted to make a point that in 2022, our people can't still continue to be ignorant. Our people still can continue to be ignorant about who we are as a people. We don't have time for beliefs. We don't have time for delusions of I don't even want to call it grandeur. I call it delusions of, degeneracy. What I mean by that is, how is it that we've allowed people to convince us that we are this, right? That we are black-skinned people, that we are a Negro people. These are terminologies that were given to us by Caucasians, so-called white people. How do we accept something that's not real? And even deeper question, how do all of the so-called intelligent, scholarly people, so-called black scholarly people here in America, why are they still referring to us as black people? Shouldn't these people been the first ones to attack this whole black identification? Shouldn't they have been the first ones, being that they're so scholarly and educated? Shouldn't they have been the first ones to debunk this whole black identification, this false black identification? Shouldn't they have been the first ones to question it? Why is it that a NUBEN MENKARAYZZ, a person who has no, higher education, so-called quote-unquote higher education, I have higher intelligence. I have something better than higher education. I have higher intelligence. They can keep the higher education. Okay? Because if a higher education is going to teach you or teach a bunch of people that you are black-skinned people when you can clearly see that your skin is not black, and you're being told to ignore the fact that your skin does not match this black piece of material, you're being told to ignore that. People say, oh, that's semantics. It doesn't matter. What doesn't count, who cares, it's all, we all black. Or no, it's not. It does matter. It does matter. It matters a great deal. Why does it matter? Because the identification was meant to do more than just label us. It was meant to downgrade us continuously by making us the bottom of what came to be black and white in the racial category. It put us at the bottom of white people and everyone else who declares themselves white. This has nothing to do with skin color and everything to do with classification. You see, classification as an economic classification. That's what black has to deal with. You see, the government decided to start calling our people black when they were originally referring to us as the copper-colored Americans or the copper-colored people, right? Because I'm reading from the 1828 definition on my shirt where it says American. A noun, a native of America, right? Originally applied to the Aboriginal, that should be changed to original. Again, you people with the Aboriginal, stop using the term Aboriginal because the word Aboriginal means not original. They mean to say original. Ab means not. Like if somebody's called abnormal, that means they're not normal. So it's really original. The original or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of the Europeans born here in America. In other words, what they're saying is the copper-colored people, which are our people, and then it has the picture of the sister with next to the pennies. That's who we originally are. That's who we currently are, and we still are. Our skin didn't change to dark black or whatever the case may be. We're still those copper-colored people, right, that are made reference to in the 1828 Merriam-Webster dictionary of who the first Americans are. That's our people. That is not the so-called American Indian. The American Indian, the so-called American Indians are referred to as redskin. They were referred to as redskins back then. And also they were referred to as Indians. So question, if this is making reference to the American Indian, the so-called Mongoloid Indians who are not the natives of this land, these are people who crossed the Bering Straits from Mongolia, Siberia into America. And here they met on this side when they came here from Mongolia. And this is documented. A so-called American Indian. These people are descendants of Asians. These are Asiatic people who crossed the Bering Straits into America, where they found our people here already as the first Americans. In fact, the word America really comes from the Mayan language, which means great wind. Okay, has nothing to do with Alberico Vespucci, who changed his name to Amerigo. I'm just sharing all this in there. So our people set up the first societies here in the Americas. When they trace back the first people in the Americas, all the skulls and things like that in South America, Yucatan, all that, Central America, because that's where the first inhabitants were in the southern part of America. And then they made their way into North America. When they traced it back, they found our people as the oldest people in America. So therefore, we are the only real Native Americans or ethnic Americans here in this country. We're the only real Americans. We're the only people that can call ourselves American. So when you want to know what our true nationality is, it's American. No one else can call themselves American here in this society. Not Caucasians, not the so-called Indians, which they came from Mongolia, Siberia. They crossed the Bering Straits here into America. Scientists have already proven that the so-called Indians, so-called American Indians, are linked to Asians, to the Mongolian, voyage into America, where they found our people. In fact, places like Mexico, places like Yucatan, Central America, and all that. These places, Mexico was originally a so-called black. I'm using the term so-called black, really copper-colored country. The original people of Mexico are copper-colored people, the bronze people who are falsely called black. They have gone about trying to erase the heritage of our people into Mexico. You found the Olmec heads there. Again, which are our people, the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan. These are all copper-colored people, the bronze copper-colored people. This is why they made reference to who the true Americans are. Again, they refer to our people originally as copper-colored people. Then eventually they start referring to our people as colored people. The copper came off. But we still use terms like sepia. We were still using terms like bronze and things like that, which was an accurate description of our people. We were using these terminologies until we got, Caucasians, that wanted to set up this system of black and white here, came with the whole idea of labeling us as Negroes and black people. So we went from colored to Negro to black, you see. Why was that? Because it was meant to cut our tie with our Mesoamerican ancestry, with our native, or I should say our indigenous American ancestry, and also to link us to Africa, which we are not African. You can tell the difference between Africans and Americans, two totally different people. You got real native indigenous Americans, ethnic Americans here in this society, and then you got the people who are native to Africa. Two totally different people. There was an African slave trade, but it was a very short-lived slave trade. I think it stopped in 1808 here into North America. All right. They didn't go too long here. I'm not going to go get deep into the history of slavery, but, I'll give a brief thing that they showed you at every point, the so-called Africans, when they were bringing them across the Atlantic, because the Atlantic ocean is hard. The Atlantic Ocean is hard to navigate, especially with the ship technology and the building they had these wooden ships back then. So there's no way they brought no millions of people into America. That's a lie. And I've heard so-called black people, and again, this is what happens when you're black. You know, you in a state of darkness, you in a state of ignorance, you're not thinking. You rely on Caucasian people to give you the history, and you don't apply logic. Because see, this is what happens when you, again, refer to yourself as black. You normally put white first. Like, you ever notice white people will put out something first, and then black people will want to copy and say, this is the black this or the black version of that. So what that says is you put yourself behind white people when you refer to yourself as black people. You're putting yourself behind them. So when you put yourself behind them, you basically also put yourself behind them when it comes to thinking and utilizing logical and rational thinking. You don't put yourself in the forefront. You put white people first. That's why when somebody says something to black people, another so-called black person says something that other black people are not used to hearing, the first thing they do is, well, where do you get this from? Where is this coming from? In other words, they mean, where are white people validating this at? Because black people are programmed as black people to listen to and defer to white people. You see, this is why we shouldn't be referring to ourselves as black people. You see, our skin is not black. We are not black. We are those copper-colored races that were described in the 1828 Merriam-Webster dictionary as the first Americans. This is who we really are. And I'm sick and tired of hearing people referring to us as black Indians. Again, we got to cut out the black stuff. We're not anybody's black anything. We are the Americans, the first Americans here in this country, the only real Americans here. You see, when it says this here and it talks about, you know, this terminology was applied to the original Americans here, then that's it. You can't come behind somebody and start calling yourself that name. In other words, when they say Europeans came here and started referring to themselves as American, you cannot come into another place and just totally erase where you come from, your heritage. That's your nationality. So the Caucasian people that are here in America who call themselves American are not American. They're Europeans. You are where you come from. That's like me going to Italy and saying, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to be Italian. I can't be Italian by nationality, and white people can't be American by nationality. You can be immigrants to America, but you cannot be you can't be ethnic or native to America. Neither can you. Only people can be ethnic or native to America are the first people that were here, and that's so-called black people. This is another reason why they refer to us as black people. And I've always said this. This is a way of hiding our heritage. Because what do you do when you hide a people? You hide them in the dark. You call them black people. You refer to them as black people. Okay? I'm not reading the comments and the questions. We on live. Because like I said, I'm getting used to this right now. Okay? I'm getting used to this right now. Those who want to call in, you can call in at 929-430-5191. 929-430-5191. You can share this link with people. Like I said, we're going to get better at this. Like I said, this is the test run. I wanted to just speak on this. And whether, you know, people see this spread, even if it's not live, just spread the link and let people see this. So let it sink in. Let this be shown everywhere, because we need to address this. This is the best time to start getting real. You see, this is why when we start looking at our origin or our heritage here in America, and you start looking back at what's called black people, nowhere are black people identified as anything, you see. But you do have the identification of the first people here. You do have the identification of the first Americans here. You do have that identification here on this shirt. This is right here, undisputable proof. Who has a copper-colored skin? Our people. And again, this lie that we came over from Africa and we was dark, everybody was jet black, and then we mixed in with white people and other races of people, and that's how we became different shades. That's a lie. That is a bold-faced lie. If you look on the bone and park temples of the Mesoamerican, the Mayan people, you see different shades of Mayan people, from dark bronze to reddish bronze to light beige skin complexion bronze, basically like what you have today, because I call them different shades or different shades of bronze, which makes all the sense in the world. Because the stupidest thing I've ever heard people say is, you know, you got light skinned black people and dark skinned black people. There's no such thing as light skinned black person. Black is black. How are you going to be a light skinned black person? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Or a dark skinned black person. Black is just black. There are no light blacks. There's no light skinned yellow beige complexion black, or like this person told me, brownish black. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. But we're so programmed with this whole black mentality that we, end up stepping on or shooting ourselves in the foot because we don't want to deal with logical and rational thinking. Shout out to the people that printed this up, because like I said, I put this on shirts, but this was already out here. This image was already out here, and I put it on shirts because I wanted people to see this. So, because it's time that we start to acknowledging who we are as the Americans, the first real Americans, because see, American has an ethnicity. We are the face of American ethnicity. Nobody else. We are the face of American culture, so-called black people. From the music that we made here, which I'm tired of having it attributed to so-called Africans. I'm tired of having the music that was created here in the Americas attributed to Africans, because we are not from Africa. The Africans show you all the time that black people, so-called black people, I'm using the term so-called, really the bronze-skinned people as I refer, or the copper-colored people, they show you all the time that we are not native to Africa. They show you all the time that we are different from the Africans. They show it all the time. And I'm going to say this, some of our people who are in Africa are really natives to America. We're going to get into that in another cast. Not every so-called black person, bronze-skinned, copper-colored person, so-called black person in Africa, though you may have been born in Africa, doesn't mean you're African. You see, because the real Africans have a certain look to them, which again, I'm going to get into. We're going to, like I said, we're going to have pictures and we're going to have all these things up, and we're going to prove the point logically and rationally. Okay? We're going to prove the point logically and rationally. We're trying to get this out here again. I want all of the bronze-skinned people, the copper-colored people, the people who ready to throw black in the garbage, to give me a thumbs up. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you thumb this video up. Like I said, I'm not in it for the money, the monetization and whatnot. I'm in it basically to spread the intelligence to my people. So I'm going to go live every week. And like I said, we're going to get better, but I wanted to address this as the first topic, because we're going to get deeper into things, as deep as I can get on YouTube. Subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon, MENTELLECT, MENTELLECT Patreon, where you can hear the raw and uncut NUBEN MENKARAYZZ. You can hear the raw and uncut NUBEN MENKARAYZZ talks and things of that nature. I'm looking for, No, not my lighter. Not my lighter. Looking for the smoke. Huh? Yeah. I'm looking for that. Yeah. Oh, I got it. Yeah. Last but not least, it wouldn't be high and mighty talks without the actual high. All right? Wouldn't be high and mighty talks. Huh? That's all you need? That's all I need. I ain't going to be on much longer. Talking to one of my wives over there. They helped produce this little, my wives helped produce. I said wives with an S, yes. I'm going to talk about that in the future as well. You see, I want to reveal a next level NUBEN MENKARAYZZ. Someone who's interactive with the people, someone who's talking with the people, and don't be put off by the dark shades. That's only so I don't have to form a personal connection with people in the camera. I'm better at just putting things out. It helps me with my focus. So don't mind the shades, because people will usually say, oh, why he got on dark shades? Why don't he show us his eyes? I can show you my eyes maybe in another video, or maybe not. I like the shades. All right. Some people don't even show their face, period. But I'm talking to you, so. And I'm also smoking with you. Those of you who want to smoke and, listen to logical and rational, I'm going to continue on with this. So, they referring to our people as black people. They're referring to our people as African Americans, as Negroes. Right? You know, Roots was a huge programming tool that was used on our people. It's the movie Roots. But people don't know, what people don't know about Alex Haley's Roots and what they tried to conceal is that the character of Kunta Kinte, who was supposed to be his African ancestor, was plagiarized from a Caucasian man's book by the name of Harold Corlander. And he was sued in an upstate New York court for plagiarizing from this guy, Harold Corlander's book, The African, the character Kunta Kinte. Now, question. Why would Alex Haley have to plagiarize African heritage or his African heritage or this link to Africa? Why would he have to plagiarize that? Why would you have to lie about that? How come we haven't heard all these connections to Africa and all this other business like they claim that, you know, we're supposed to have with these people? How come we haven't heard this? You know, why is it that nobody passed down the stories about our African heritage, our grandmothers, great big mama, whoever? Nobody told us about any African origins. You know why they didn't tell us about any African origins? Because there is no African origins. Everything is American. And we need to start embracing Americanism. We need to start embracing Americanism, ethnic Americanism. We need to start embracing that. Because that's who we are as a people. That's who we are as a people. We are Americans here. Stop thinking of other races of people as the face of America. They are not. They are not. And I'm going to go with another step further. The reason why we are really hated in America, so-called black people, is because people want to be us. Meaning that people want to be these copper-colored races. They want to erase the copper-colored races here in America. They are ethnic Americans. They want to erase the copper-colored people here. The people who are, you know, native to this land, indigenous to this land. And I'm not talking about going back no 500 years, because people playing around and BSing. Let me tell you something. Our people have always been in America. We are the first people here in America. We did not come from Africa. Okay? Our people are from South and Central America. The South of America. And we came into the North of America. You see? So we need to understand that. We need to stop embracing Africa as our mother and start embracing America as our fatherland, because America is our fatherland. Why do I refer to America as our fatherland? Because this is the place we built civilizations, and men build civilizations. You see, men build civilizations. You can't really point to any thing that we built here in Africa, other than Egypt. Black people talk about Egypt and certain parts of Mali and things like that, but you're talking about the east of Africa. Okay, our people was in the east of Africa, but the base from which we traveled out from was America. Why? Because it has been proven by archaeologists and things like that that the first or the oldest civilizations here on the planet was here in Mesoamerica, or in America, and that was built by our people. In the Yucatan and places like that. It's the oldest civilizations in the Yucatan. Not in Egypt, not in Mesopotamia, not in those places, but here in the Yucatan, it's in the Americas, South America, Central America. You see, that's why our civilizations were built. Instead of y'all getting on planes, you Egyptologists, instead of you pro-blacks and Egyptologists getting on planes and going to Egypt and whatnot and going to parts of Africa, you need to visit Mexico. Because that's our home. You need to visit Central America, South America, the Yucatan, and see those pyramids and those edifices our people built, and stop trying to hand over those accomplishments to people who are there now. Those people who are there now, those so-called Mexicans and all those Latinos that are here now, they are descended from the people I told you about, the people that crossed the Bering Straits. They are descendants of those people with the straight hair that crossed the Bering Straits. The Mongoloids. You see, the Mongolian people that came from Siberia, all across Siberia. Those are the descendants. That's what a lot of your Latinos, and also they are connected. They're from also the Caucasian Spanish that came over there and mixed in with them as well. That's where a lot of these people came from. But the original people that were there were your copper-colored races, your bronze copper-colored races. Okay? Who made it into North America first, and they followed us into North America. We were the first ones in the Americas, period, but we were definitely the first ones in North America. And then to go even a step further, just like we built the civilizations over there in South America, the Yucatan, Mexico, and all those other places where you had the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, the people that's playing their ball games. That's our descendants right there. If you see this picture in the back wall, on the back of my wall up there, you'll see an image of, and this is an actual image from the wall in Bowling Park Temple, which I had printed out. If you can see it really good, that is how the people look there. That's so-called black people. Those are the copper-colored people. You see, there's actual proof and images of these people here in South America, Central America, the Yucatan, and things like that. That's our people. I done found my face, my image several times in Mesoamerica, in the Mayan culture. That's our people. And we are not being linked to our true heritage, our true roots. We sitting here looking for our true roots and our heritage in Africa. And our true roots and heritage are here in America. Our true roots and heritage are here in America. And that goes for you so-called black people from the West Indies. You are American as well. You are part of the Mesoamerican heritage as well. You people in the West Indies and things like that, you so-called black people, like y'all didn't come over here through slave trade. Our people was already on those islands. See, all of those territories from Haiti to Hispaniola, all those places, black people were there first. And everybody else came there after us and mixed in with some of our people. And some of our people left, some of our people stayed. But the root and the foundation of the people there is the copper-colored races, the bronze people that was there, falsely being called black, falsely being called African-American, falsely being called Negroes by the Caucasian Spanish. You see, no one can call themselves American but our people. Let's just be real. No one can call themselves American but our people. Okay? No one can call themselves American but us. No one can say that they are that they are the face of America, but so-called black people, the copper-colored races, which they trying to sit up here and tell us that we're not. And you have to be very mindful of these people today, these Pan-Africanists. I told you, these so-called Pan-Africanists, they work with these Caucasians with hiding the truth about our people, these Pan-Africanists. You got to be very mindful of these people that's trying to hide our Mesoamerican heritage. They trying to push our Mesoamerican heritage to Mongoloid Indians. You got these so-called Indians out here talking about, oh, they are the Mesoamericans. They're the Olmecs, the Aztec. Today's Mexicans today are sitting here lying, talking about they the Olmecs, they the Aztec, the Inca, and the Mayan people, when you could clearly look on that wall and see that they are not. They're lying. These are another people that's trying to steal our heritage. Just like the Caucasians try to steal the heritage of ancient Egypt and other places. They try to make these people other than what they are. They want to sit up here and lock us into Africa as a form of segregation, as a form of continental segregation. They wanted you to believe that all dark-skinned, bronze people, so-called black people, come from Africa, that our origin is from Africa. Okay, well, and if that's the case, then they turn around and say everybody from Africa. Okay, well, then if that's the case, then stop calling everybody. Don't call nobody European no more. Don't call anybody French, German, Italian, whatever anymore, Asian. Everybody's African then. Then don't even call you American. Everybody's African then, if that's the case. But they're not doing that. They want to call themselves Native American, the so-called Indians, American Indian, the Mongoloid Indian, which Indian is not even the right title for these people. They want to call themselves Native American, but they want to forget about their Mongolian heritage. They want to forget about their Asian heritage. You can clearly see that the modern day American Indians are Asians. The so-called American Indians are Asians. And they also got mixed in with the Caucasians as well. Because on a lot of these reservations, on a lot of these so-called Indian reservations, you got a lot of $5 Indians, a lot of pretendians. But again, Indians, how are you going to call yourself Indian and call yourself Native American? Indian is a terminology that is used for people who are native to India. Okay? Indian, and I'll give them that. They can call themselves Indians. But Indians, logically and rationally now, how can an Indian be Native American? Do that make sense? Make that make sense to me. How is it that an Indian, we're using logic and rational thinking here. How can an Indian be Native American? If you're Native American, then you shouldn't be using the term Indian no more. Right or wrong? You should just be American, right? But why they don't call themselves American? Why they call themselves Indians? because that's what the white man called them. But how you gonna let people who came here after you call you, define who you are? If y'all are native to this land, then you're supposed to be calling yourself Americans, not Indians. They called you that because they thought they was an Indian. Columbus and them called you Indian because they thought you was an Indian. They thought they was an Indian when they came here, and they referred to the people here as Indian because they were dark skinned. And that term stuck. They was referring to us as Indian at one time because of the dark skin. But that's not the correct terminology. That's why I said a lot of you so-called black people who calling yourself black Indians, you linking in with that Mongoloid Indian heritage or that whatever, and you calling yourself black Indians, you need to cut that out. We are not black Indians. We are those bronze Mesoamerican people. We are descended from the Mesoamerican people, who a lot of the so-called Indian culture, so-called Mongoloid Indian culture copied from the Mesoamericans. A lot of that feathers in the hair and bows and arrows, that's from the Mesoamericans. That's not from the Mongoloid Indians. They copied that from the Mesoamericans. Okay? That's where that comes from. My question is, why are your black scholars not talking about this terminology here? This right here gives our whole history and heritage just right here. This definition right here gives our whole history and heritage here in America, who we really are. Y'all sitting up here looking for your heritage in Africa. Just in this definition, this Merriam-Webster 1828 definition of American, that gives our heritage and history right there. Our heritage and history is right here in the definition of America. Just like that. It's right there. But you would never know that because you're being told that you're black. You would never know that because you're being told you're black. So you just leave that on the table and you sit up here and you attribute that to so-called Mongoloid Indians, like a lot of these Pan-Africanists do. I'm telling you, these Pan-Africanists who sitting up here calling us black people, still holding on to this black thing, they here serving Caucasian interests. They're not for the evolution of our people. So, but I'm not even going to get into that right now. Just throw all that. We need to throw all the black stuff out the window because it is not logically correct. It is not. It is not physically correct. It is not a physically correct description of who we are. So why are we calling ourselves black people? Why are we still with the black thing? This is black. This is black. Again, do I got to do this? Am I working with the people on the slow bus? This is black. This is black. Has nothing to do with us. This is copper. This is the copper colored people. This is the bronze copper colored skin of our people. This is who we are. Right here. I wore this shirt especially for this. Just to show who we are. You so-called black women, you are not African American. You are the bronze copper colored American women. You are American women. You so-called black women, you're not black. You are American. You are the only American women here. Nobody else is American here. Again, you cannot come behind people and start calling yourself what the people were referring to themselves as. And again, the name America did not come from Amerigo Vespucci. How you know that's false is because notice if the name America came from Amerigo Vespucci, the so-called Italian explorer, then how come nobody knows anything about him? Why is he not taught about in history class? Why do you know more about Christopher Columbus, who this country is not even named after, than you know about Amerigo Vespucci, which his real name is Alberico? Why are you not taught about him in history class? You know why? Because they know that if they dig in the history of Alberico Vespucci, which it has already been dug into, then you would realize that this country was not named after him. And it was not named by Europeans. It was named by the Mayan people, which are copper-colored bronze people, aka so-called, what you would call black people today. That word America came from them. How do you pronounce that? America. Something like that. America. All right. That word came from them. And of course, the Europeans heard them say America. And again, they eventually pronounced it as America, but it was America. They pronounced it as America because they heard the people using that terminology, America. So they ended up calling it America. Just like the word nigger from the word Naga. That's very real. That was a terminology being used for the Serpentine and the Naga people here in the South Americas that came over into North America, the term Naga, which the Caucasians heard again and started going Naga, which became nigger after a while. You see, that's why we have that affinity for the word nigger. They come from the word Negro. again, from the word naga. But I'm going to wrap this up soon because I got to do MENTELLECT Radio. Again, we're going to be taking calls next time. Share this video, like this video, thumbs it up. Like I said, it's our first one. I done did videos before under the MENTELLECT banner, which it still got those videos up. But I wanted to take a next direction with that. And I wanted to be as, I wanted to gain more of a further reach. So I got to make sure I stay off of the, off of the YouTube crosshairs with certain words and things I'm not going to use because I don't have to, use certain words. I'm trying to get a point across. And I want people to, I'd rather have people connect to the message than to try and be so controversial because it's really not this deep. It shouldn't be. We should barely be embracing this as bronze people because I refer to my people as bronze men and bronze women. We dumped the black thing. We in the American Republic, we refer to our people as bronze men and bronze women. We don't deal with the black because bronze, copper is the same thing. We refer to ourselves as bronze skinned people. Bronze skinned people because you got different shades of bronze, which makes all the sense in the world. So nobody has to be left out. You got beige skin, reddish bronze, dark bronze, and you got the dark bronze, the darkest bronze. Again, so nobody has to be left out. See, when you're dealing with black, you got to start with this. Oh, you ain't black enough. You too light. You too dark. You ain't really black. You deal with a bunch of foolishness when nobody's black. All that does is cause chaos and confusion amongst our people. Okay? So bronze makes a lot more sense. I'm going to come back another time and I'm going to talk about I'm going to speak on the, more on, and I'm going to show the images, which you can find online and things like that, which again, it puzzles me how the Pan-Africanists, they don't point out this real history. They don't point out these historical facts about our people, nor did they point out this 1828 definition. You don't see your black scholars, because a lot of your Pan-African scholars, they have to push this lie of us coming from Africa and us being black people. They have to hold on to that because certain interests, certain people have an agenda that benefits them, that if we are quote unquote so-called African, or we think we come from another place and we don't claim this is our actual home, which it is our actual home. We even built the United States government. The economic system of the United States government was built by us. Slave labor built the economic system of America. There would be no United States of America if it was not for slave labor from the copper-colored races. Those were the descendants of the Mesoamerican people. You can look all of this up. Those of you who are doubting, those of you who need white people to validate it, you can look it up. It's fine. Just look up 1828 definition of American. And if you think that this is the Mongoloid Indians, then something's wrong with you because, again, they didn't refer to them as copper-colored. They never referred to Mongoloid Indians. I call them Mongoloids because they are from Mongolia. They are Mongolians. They're Asians. The white man never referred to them as copper-colored. They were always referred to as red skin or just Indian. So why would they use this terminology? Who were they referring to in this image? The copper-colored people, our people, the real natives of America, the real Americans. American has a heritage. America has a race. We have our connections here in America through our Mesoamerican ancestry. Simple as that. Simple as that. All right. So, questions, comments. I'm looking at the chat. Any questions, any comments? Like I said, we're gonna. And for those of you who are questioning, me smoking this is marijuana. Yes, it is. Marijuana, we smoked marijuana in the ancient world. Yes, we smoked marijuana in Mesoamerica and or early North America. So this is nothing new. Marijuana was growing all over Mexico and all that other stuff. So, we were smoking it. We were using it in the tea, things like that. Even Dr. Sebi smoked marijuana. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like tobacco. And no, messed up things. And however, I would not, and I'm going to do a broadcast on marijuana. See, because we keep it real here. I'm not sitting here hiding the fact that I smoke marijuana. I talked about it. There's no shame to it because this is not a drug. This is not a drug. This is an herb, a very relaxing herb. So when you see me smoking it, those of you who have comments, brother, why are you smoking that marijuana? Because it's good. Because it's good. I pay $80 an ounce from a Jamaican brethren. What they call Reggie or regulation stuff. That's what I call it. Again, this is going to be the most realest broadcast you're ever going to see in your life. There's no mechanics to this and whatnot. Just a straight Brooklyn guy, from Brooklyn, who giving you logical and rational things to think about. So tonight's lesson is going to conclude. What have we learned about tonight? We're not black people, okay? We're not black people. For the ignorant who think you black, don't listen to me. Because I know there's no convincing ignorant people. I don't try to convince ignorant people. I don't try to debate with ignorant people. I don't try to, go back and forth with ignorant people because ignorant people already have a belief system installed in their tiny brains. They already have a belief system installed in that was 9 times out of 10 installed and put inside them by their Caucasian teachers, who basically taught you to believe what they say rather than to think about what they say. See, unlike them, I'm different. I don't want people to believe anything I'm saying. I want you to think about it. Don't believe it, but think about it. Because all I've ever did was giving people things to think about and process. And from that, if you can see the logic and rationale in what I'm presenting to you, then that is truth. That's how we measure truth, by what makes sense. We don't go with things just because we've been taught things in the book, because people lie in books all the time. Okay? How we discern whether people are lying to us or telling us the truth is by logical and rational processing of what is being told to us, what makes sense. Like, for example, 100 million people coming over here from Africa on slave ships over the Atlantic Ocean. That don't even make sense. Not with the kind of ships they had. And again, I got a lot of questions about this. See, again, that's going to be the second video. Questions about the transatlantic slave trade that don't make sense. And I would like a lot of these so-called Pan-Africanists to get on here and answer some questions. Like, again, I'm doing a call and everything, because again, I don't care about arguing with them or going back and forth with them, because I understand they got an agenda to follow. They have to see this is how they make their living. They make their living off of lying to our people by teaching us that we black, that we came from Africa on 100 million of us on slave ships. The only people who that lie works for is the Israelites, the Muslims, the Christians, the Pan-Africanists. That lie works for them. You see, we're not interested in that because they could always go back to see I had a guy in Muslim tell me, yeah, our people came over on the ships, 100 million of us locked on shit. That's a fact, brother. Where is that a fact at? Where is that a fact at? Because you done heard it in history so much, you done heard it in books and in TV. That's why it's a fact to you. People have been telling that same lie that makes no sense. That we came over on slave ships into the Americas. People have been telling that same lie. Our people were already here. And again, if we really came over on slave ships, then where did all the skilled labor come from? You see, I'm going to address that in the next thing, because our people were skilled labor. Nobody just came over here picking cotton. That's another lie they tell about black people, is they brought us from Africa to America to pick cotton and cut sugar cane and all this other nonsense and pick tobacco. That's a load of BS. They had indentured servants here in America that could have did that. No, they didn't have us just pick cotton. It was much more. Much more. But we'll get into that in another, high and mighty talks. Again, you see why this is termed high and mighty. This is the high, and I'm the mighty. And you all that listen to me that can receive this message on a higher level, you represent the mighty as well. The mighty men and the mighty women of the bronze race, of the bronze copper-colored people. Again, we making bronze a real thing. We making bronze men and bronze women a real thing. You see, we making bronze men and bronze women. Leave the black alone, man. Let the black go. Because you look at all of the people who are calling themselves black today. You see some of the worst degenerates calling themselves black today. So much so that it made me want to get the hell up out the black race. It made me want to get, the black race makes me wince. It made me want to get up out the black race because you see all of the people who call themselves black today, all the degenerates, all the low lives, all of the sexual deviants. All these people are calling themselves black. So I really don't want to be associated with people who are referring to themselves as black today. I don't want to be I don't want to be connected to people who are referring to themselves as black. You see? Because, like I said, it's too much degeneracy within the black race. Too much degeneracy. You see, when you shine a spotlight on that, you get to see who the degenerates and who are the people who are the worthwhile people, and you separate those two. I did a broadcast called The Separation of the Bronze-Skinned People, the bronze people from the black people. You see, that's necessary. We need intelligent people going forward to be in alignment with our people, to be codified with our people, to be moving on a code of conduct. We need codified people who are using logical and rational thinking to move forward as a people. That's what I've always taught in MENTELLECT. This movement is an intelligence movement for the thinking man and the thinking woman of bronze, copper-colored descent. That's what my message is for, the thinking man and the thinking woman of bronze, copper-colored descent. All over the world. But with that, I'm going to close out. In the name of Amen, by the power of Amen, and Amen we trust, and Amen we think, and Amen we continue forward forever. We're going to lead this up here again. Give us a like, share this video. Again, it's the first video. I'm getting back out in the video scene. So, and again, we're going to be taking live people. I'm going to be reading. Share with everybody. We're going to be coming back by another couple of days with another video. I'm going to give advanced. And again, I even invite the so-called Pan-Africanists to, chime in, call in. We're going to have the phone system, everything set up. So, call in. That's it. All right, we out.
Subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon and join the American Republic.
Rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of MENTELLECT. Black race to the white race. If it's hell, Amen, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag.